They say your enemies will tell you who they are, but sometimes they wear your favorite person's smile while they do it. When I first met Sarah, I thought she was a blessing dropped right into my life. We started at the company the same week, both rookies in a corporate jungle. She had a quick laugh, a knack for making people feel seen, and a way of making the office seem a little less cold. She'd bring extra snacks to share, text me late at night about the latest TV shows, even cover for me if I was running late. Within months, we were inseparable, the kind of friendship that made everyone else jealous. It started subtly. One day, my boss asked me about a complaint I'd supposedly made about a coworker being dead weight. I was shocked. I'd never said anything like that. I laughed it off. But then, I started noticing the way people looked at me. Shorter greetings. Colder smiles. A week later, I opened my inbox to find a printed email sitting on my desk. It was vile, criticizing my team, insulting our clients, even mocking the company culture. The signature?
Mine.
The sender's address?
Mine.
Except, I hadn't written it. The next few weeks were hell. Coworkers stopped inviting me to lunch. My messages in group chats were ignored. People whispered when I walked by. Even my manager seemed to keep me at arm's length. Outside of work, I started losing friends too. Private details I'd shared, things I'd only told Sarah, somehow became public gossip. I confronted her once, lightly. She looked me straight in the eye, feigned shock, and said, "That's awful. Who would do that to you?" I believed her for about 3 more days. One night, I got a message from a block number. "You're not paranoid. Check the group chat. Look at who's talking." I searched and found it a private group with half the office in it. And there she was, Sarah, gleefully posting evidence against me. The screenshots she shared were doctored, my messages cut and rearranged to make me look cruel, dishonest, unprofessional. Even worse, she was claiming I was sabotaging projects and stealing credit for other people's work. That's when I realized she wasn't just ruining my job, she was dismantling my entire life. To this day, I don't fully know why. Maybe she saw me as competition. Maybe she hated how quickly I'd built good relationships at work. Or maybe, and this is the most unsettling possibility, she just liked watching people burn. Either way, I knew I couldn't go to management empty-handed. She was clever. She'd twist it, make me look paranoid. So I decided to let her think she was winning while I built the perfect trap. I became the version of me she wanted everyone to believe in, careless, chatty, a little too loose-lipped. Every few days, I'd confide something outrageous to her, that I thought the coffee machine was giving people stomach issues, that the boss had a drinking problem, that I'd secretly been applying to other jobs overseas. All fake. All bait. And every single time, within hours, the rumor would surface. Sometimes I'd overhear it in the break room. Sometimes a coworker would awkwardly ask if it was true. Each time, I logged the date, time, and exact wording. I kept screenshots of our conversations, photos of her phone screen when she left it unattended, and even had a friend in IT quietly confirm she was accessing my files without permission. Once I had months' worth of evidence, I went for the final move. I invited her to lunch, played my part perfectly, and told her in a hushed, serious voice that I'd just been offered a high-paying job at a rival company. "But don't say anything," I said. "If my boss finds out, I'm dead." Her eyes lit up, just for a second. The very next morning, my boss stormed into my office. "So, you're planning to take our projects to the competition?" I let him rant. Then I smiled, reached into my bag, and slid a thick folder across the desk. Inside, every screenshot, every timestamp, every absurd rumor I'd planted. IT logs tying her account to the fake emails. Photos of her sending my messages to other people. And at the very end, proof that the rival job rumor had leaked less than an hour after I told her.
They called her in.
I wasn't invited to that meeting, but I heard the raised voices. I heard her start with denial, then panic, then anger. Finally, the hallway went silent. When the door opened, she walked out pale and trembling, clutching a cardboard box. HR was right behind her.
She didn't look at me.
The office thawed toward me almost overnight. People apologized for believing the rumors. My boss admitted he'd been on the verge of letting me go until he saw the evidence. As for Sarah, she vanished from the industry. Last I heard, she was bouncing between short-term jobs, her reputation ruined. I didn't just clear my name. I made sure she'd never be able to do to someone else what she tried to do to me. And the best part? She never saw it coming, not until the very last second. They say your enemies will tell you who they are, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes they hide behind the kind of smile that makes you feel safe, like they could be your ally for life. That's how it was with Sarah. We joined the company the same week. Both of us were young, ambitious, a little overwhelmed by the shiny glass building and the smell of expensive coffee in the lobby. From day one, she seemed like the kind of friend you're lucky to find in a place like that. She had a way of making even the dullest Monday morning feel lighter. She'd send me memes at midnight, bring me coffee on days when I was buried in work, and we'd complain about deadlines together. People at the office would tease us for being joined at the hip, and I thought it was because we had such a strong bond. Looking back, I realized I didn't really know her at all. The first sign came like a drop of ink in clear water, subtle at first, but spreading fast. One afternoon, my boss casually mentioned a comment I'd supposedly made about a coworker being useless. I laughed it off, thinking it was a silly misunderstanding. But over the next week, I noticed small changes. People stopped smiling as warmly. Conversations would go quiet when I entered the break room. And then came the email. A printed copy was sitting on my desk when I arrived one morning. My name was at the bottom. The sender's address was mine. The words were poison. They insulted my team, mocked our clients, even hinted that I thought the company was a joke. It was ugly. It was also a complete fabrication. After that, the air around me thickened with suspicion. Friends from work avoided me. Group chats went silent when I sent a message. Even people outside of work seemed to be pulling away, as if my reputation had started leaking into my personal life. And the worst part? Details I'd only shared with Sarah about my family, about my finances, about things I was struggling with, somehow found their way into the mouths of people I barely knew. One evening, I confronted her gently, hoping there was some misunderstanding. She looked shocked, even offended. "Why would I ever do that to you?" she asked, her eyes wide with sincerity. I wanted to believe her.
For a few days I did.
Then the message came. A text from a block number. "You're not paranoid. Check the group chat. Look at who's talking." It took some digging, but I found it a private chat that included several coworkers. And there she was, Sarah, posting screenshots of our conversations, editing them so they made me look rude or arrogant, feeding the fire with inside stories that painted me as untrustworthy and manipulative.
She was laughing about it.
Enjoying it. I sat staring at the screen for a long time. My chest felt tight. She wasn't just trying to get me in trouble at work. She was erasing me and rewriting the story, turning me into the villain in my own life. The question, why, kept echoing in my mind. Was it jealousy? Did she see me as competition for promotions? Or was it something darker? The thrill of watching someone unravel? I didn't know, but I knew one thing. Going to management without proof was useless. She was smart. She'd deny everything. Worse, she'd twist it and make me look unstable. So I kept quiet. Outwardly, nothing changed. I laughed with her at lunch, sent her memes back, acted as if nothing was wrong. Inside, I was already planning her downfall. I started feeding her little pieces of fake information, harmless but odd enough to be noticed. I told her I thought the coffee machine was making people sick. I hinted that the CEO had a drinking problem. I claimed I was planning to move to Bali and work remotely. Each story was completely made up, chosen specifically because if it spread, there could only be one source. And spread they did. Sometimes within hours. I'd hear someone in the break room say, "Did you hear about?" or get a sideways look from someone in a meeting. Each time, I documented it, dates, times, exact wording. I saved screenshots of our chats. I took discreet photos of her phone screen when she left it on the table at lunch. I even had a friend in IT quietly track the times her login was used to access files tied to my account. The evidence piled up over weeks, then months. By the time I was ready, I had a paper trail she couldn't talk her way out of. But I wanted one last piece, the final, undeniable proof. So one Friday over lunch, I gave her the ultimate bait. I told her I'd been offered a senior position at a rival company, double the salary, starting in 2 weeks. I lowered my voice, leaned in, and said, "But please, Sarah, don't tell anyone. If my boss finds out, it'll get messy." Her smile was small, almost polite, but I saw the spark in her eyes. By Monday morning, my boss was in my office, his voice hard. "So, you're taking our projects to the competition?" I didn't argue. I didn't even look surprised. I just opened my bag, took out a thick folder, and slid it across his desk. Inside was everything. Every screenshot, every timestamp, every ridiculous rumor I'd planted. IT logs proving she'd sent those fake emails from her account. Photos of her forwarding my messages. And at the very end, proof that the rival job story had been leaked less than an hour after I'd told her in confidence.
They called her in.
I wasn't in the room, but I could hear it. First denial, then outrage, then a kind of desperate panic. The meeting went quiet for a while. When the door finally opened, she walked out pale and stiff, a cardboard box in her arms. HR followed her down the hallway. She didn't look at me. In the days that followed, the tension around me began to dissolve. People came up to apologize for believing the rumors. My boss admitted he'd been close to letting me go before I showed him the evidence. As for Sarah, she disappeared from the company's network. Word spread quietly that she'd been blacklisted in our industry. The same web she'd spun for me had ended up wrapping around her instead, tightening until she couldn't move. I didn't just survive what she did. I dismantled it piece by piece, turned it back on her, and made sure she'd never do it again to anyone else. The best part? She never knew I was onto her, not until the very last second when the trap closed and there was no way out.